Hey everyone, so you can see this visualizer behind me. This is a new visualizer I made for Beat DJ. Let me get my camera fixed. Okay. So yeah, I just want to talk about this new visualizer and how you can create your own. So let me demonstrate it with some music. I will load up a song that I made with some friends. We did like a multiplayer jam session. So to load that up, I'm going to load up the song, so I'll do load. And yeah, Beat DJ now has project saving, so I can just load up the song that we saved. And you can see I'm just dropping the transparency of this UI element of these sounds, and you can do that with this transparency command. So if you run transparency, it will show you the options, the things that you can change, and I'll just change sounds, and I'm actually just going to drop it to 0 so we can better see the visualizer. And I'll start it from 512 because I know that's a good spot to where, well, I'll just start from the beginning so we can see the whole sequence of the visualizer with play. So play always starts at the beginning. Yeah, that'll work. Try some different themes. Frog. As a frog is my background. So you can see the visualizer has a few different sort of like phases it goes through. There's actually like 8 different phases, and some of them kind of overlap to create patterns. So it's kind of like making music, how you can create these like polymeter patterns with the visuals also to keep it interesting. So I'll show you how to create these at a very basic level, just how to get started. So if you run FIL and go into the visualizers folder and then go to Viz Poly. So the only type of visualizer system we have right now is what I call Viz Poly, which is just a Polygon visualizer. So it allows you to draw 2D polygons on the screen, and you can get some sort of 3D effects just by using different transparency and stuff, but it's just a 2D plane. And Snail Shell Confetti is the new one that I made. These are some of the other old ones. So if we open this in a code editor, take a look, the nice thing is that all the code to create the visualizer is just right in this script. And that's it. There's 300 lines, which is not too bad. And you can just paste this into like an AI chatbot and ask it to make modifications, or like ask it to come up with its own version, and it will do a pretty good job. And that's why I kind of built this stuff to be all encapsulated in one script, is so you can just like use these as templates to create your own. So what's happening is every single frame we have this generate function being called, and the frame rate is tied to the BPM. So there's and it runs the frame rate of the visuals runs twice as fast as the, or I should say, it's 30-second notes. If you think about it musically, the frame rate is 30-second notes, and the BTJ runs on 16th notes, so it's twice as fast. So the generate function gets called every frame. It passes in the frame number, which is just an integer number that counts up forever. As long as it's playing, it will count up, and then when you restart, it goes back to 0. The spectrum is a 256. Apparently my comments got removed somehow. If you open up a different one, you should see all these comments that explain what it does. For some reason that got removed from the latest one. But the spectrum is a 256 float array, which just means it has 256 numbers that describe the frequency spectrum from 0 to 20,000 hertz. That's the human hearing range. And so you can use those values. I think it's from 0 to 1 determines how loud that spectrum is. So if it's 0, it's silent. If it's 1, it's like maxed out. Colors are passed in from the theme. So as the theme changes, it will update. And there's no specific order really, it's just a list of colors. So you would have to experiment to find if you want specific colors. You can also, I think you can access the Unity API and use your own colors, like color.white, color.yellow, etc. Frequency band counts. So that is there's 9 frequency bands, and for each frequency band, that's the number of sounds that are playing in that frequency band. So you can imagine if there's like a kick and a bass that hit at the same time, then in this array of 9, maybe in like the first or second slot of the array, there's going to be a number that says 2. So you can scan these 9 frequency band counts and check for how many sounds are playing in that band. One example of how I used this that's easy to see is the rectangle visualizer. And a quick note is, like, when you load up the scripts after you make changes to the script and you load it, you have to pass in Y as yes to read from the file instead of from the cache. Otherwise your visuals won't update. So just if you make changes to the file, make sure you pass Y after your keyword. So in this keyword is a search term. You can either enter like the whole name of the visualizer or just a search term. I'll do rect because I'm searching for the rectangle one. That's the full name. So let's see how that looks. You can see most of these have one rectangle, but sometimes it does 2 rectangles like this. So this means that there was 2 sounds stacked in one of the frequency bands. So like a bass and a kick, or maybe a clap and a hi-hat were in the same range. So that's just a simple example. Like this could, if you, for example, if I bring this back up so we can see, I will create a new beat where everything is just like stacked on top of each other. Oh. I just want to get a bunch of one shots and then shrink them all down so they overlap. So you can see every time there's two sounds that are on the same frequency band, it plays two blocks, and if I shrink everything again, you're going to start to get into like the 3-block range. So that's how that frequency band counts works. And you can see that if you want to look at that rectangle script, it's right here. Gradient rectangle conveyor echo. I try to use these crazy unique names so that I can just make tons of visualizers and they don't like overlap. So I try to use really descriptive names. Let's go back to here. So the last polygons is the polygons from the last frame get passed back into the function, and that way you can do sort of like feedback effects. So that's how you get the sort of like fading. That's how you can get these rectangles to fade off into the distance, is because they're using those were from the last frame, and they get passed in, and then you can process them in a function like this, process last polygons. And we can look at that script actually. It's a much simpler one. So if we look at this, we're passing in last polygons into this process last polygons function, and then we're fading the points of the polygons towards the center, and we're also fading out the transparency. And then after the transparency gets below a certain level, like 0.1, we quit adding it back into the next loop or into the next frame. So that's how the polygons die off, is basically their transparency reduces, and then we just quit rendering them. And the thing is, you want to keep it below 512 polygons total, because BeatDJ will remove, if you go over that limit, it will automatically remove from 0 up to the end of the list minus 512. So it will chop them out for you, but it's best to do it yourself so that you can make sure your visualizer works the way you intend and doesn't have like, unreliable results. So with this snail shell confetti one that I made, it's actually a 3D visualization of like a snail shell rotating. It's like a math equation for a snail shell. And then I just used some tricks to reduce the resolution of it according to how the beat reacts and stuff. And that gave it the effect that it had. And then one thing I have done is I use the modulo operator to set up these sequences. So I have a shape sequence, so after 2048 frames it will switch from squares to triangles and then back. And then in this polymeter sequence, that controls the sort of echo amount, how much fading there is, and then those sort of overlap. Here I'm processing the last polygons, and let me see if there's anything else I need to mention about how this works. I mean, the thing I would do if you feel comfortable enough to mess around with this, even if your coding skills aren't that great, is you can just take one of these scripts and feed it into ChatGPT or any advanced large language model and ask it to make changes or ask it to create a new script, and then you can just duplicate it into a new file in here, and then you can access it anytime. And if you do that, just make sure to name it very unique. Like you might want to put your initials at the end of the file so it doesn't get overwritten. by new ones that I create or other people create that will get downloaded. So every time you open Beat DJ, there's a chance it will download a new file, and if you have one that's named the same, it will overwrite it. So you can just add your initials like to the end of the file. And so yeah, that's how you can create your own visualizers, and the generator system works the exact same. So the generators are for generating tones, like I can generate a sine wave like that, and that's just a script. Octave got super low. Anyways, I have to keep this video short, but I'll do another video on the generators, and I want to create some more AI commands to help you generate these generators with AI and also generate the visualizers. So that's going to be coming soon, hopefully, where there's like an AIG command to generate sounds, and you could be like shepherd tone or whatever, and it will just create a script that will do that for you. And I actually have tested this, and it works pretty well, but I don't have it, functional yet for everyone else in the app. And then for the visualizer, maybe you could be like AI visualizer, spiral or something, or spiral bubbles or something, and then it will try its best to create something. So that, let me know if you're interested in that in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts about features and how the app is feeling for you so far. If you have any trouble, I think the latest version 1.2.9 from the website is quite stable, and I'm pretty happy with where things are at right now. Some of the things you can try out are like the project saving, save, multiplayer, room. So yeah, check out some of our recent videos. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you later. Thanks.